40inbox.com here, where we help you master your money. So we're going to be reacting to an article called 5 Ways to Squeeze Every Penny Out of Your 401k. So your 401k can become the cornerstone of a financially comfortable retirement if you use it well throughout your career. I agree. So let's get right into it. So used well throughout your career, your 401k plan can help you reach millionaire status by the time you retire. I agree. So if you really put your mind to it and effort behind it, you might even be able to blow past that level. And here's the thing, right? A lot of people don't understand this, but you could make a lot of money with your 401k or a Roth IRA without really doing much, without really paying attention to it much, right? So the thing is, though, that while the basic concept behind the 401k is simple, getting the absolute most out of it can be pretty complicated. It depends on lots of factors, including what the plan offers, your salary, and your age. With that in mind, here are 5 ways to squeeze every penny out of your 401k. So number 1, maximize your match. One of the most powerful benefits that many 401k style plans offer is an employer match. It's so powerful, in fact, that investing to get and maximize that match is typically the first investment you should make if it's available to you. The trick here, though, is making sure you understand the terms by which the match is made so that you can get every penny you're eligible to receive. So companies can choose their matching formula as long as they abide by IRS limits. So a typical match is 50% of your contribution, up to 6% of your salary. Now, depending on your plan specifics, your match may be based on a per year or per pay period basis. So if your match is on a per pay period basis, then you'll need to contribute throughout the year to truly maximize your match. So miss contributing for a paycheck because you're paying off bills, you won't get that match, and forget to up your contribution when you get a raise. If you weren't already contributing enough, you'll miss out on some of that increased match. Now, your 401k match can provide some of the strongest returns you'll ever get investing, so figuring out what you need to do to make the most of that match will serve you well. Number 2, hit your contribution limit. So in 2021, the typical contribution limits are $19,500 per year if you're under 50, or $26,000 per year if you're 50 or older. Now, if you're considered a highly compensated employee, you may face further limits as to what you can contribute based on things like how other employees at your company participate in your plan. So if you're looking to squeeze every penny out of your 401k, contributing enough to max out what you're allowed to is a key step along the way. After all, since contributions are limited by year, missing out on a contribution represents a permanent loss in what your account can potentially grow to become. Number 3, pick Roth over traditional. Now, whether you invest in a Roth 401k or a traditional 401k, the limits are the same. Still, every dollar inside a Roth 401k is likely to be worth more to you than the same amount of dollars in a traditional 401k. That's because you can make qualifying withdrawals from your Roth 401k in retirement completely tax-free, while withdrawals from traditional 401ks are generally taxed as ordinary income. And that's the thing you got to understand, right? So match is first, then basically Roth, then traditional 401k, then your own stuff, basically. Now, the thing to remember, though, is that while Roth 401ks give you the great tax benefit when you withdraw your money in retirement, traditional 401ks give you a tax deduction when you contribute. As a result, it will require more upfront in terms of spendable cash to max out your Roth 401k than it would to max out your traditional 401k. Still, when compared with the crazy cost and tax implications that could come from having a large traditional 401k balance, the trade-off is generally worth it. So for example, let's say you have 2 accounts. You have one which is a traditional 401k, and you have like the other account, right, where it's another $1 million, but it's in a Roth IRA, right? Well, guess what? When you take it out, let's say you take every single thing out, the $1 million from the 401k, the traditional 401k, right, is going to get taxed pretty hard, right? Because it's going to be your, average income, but also depending on how much money you're actually making at that time, it could be a pretty decent tax burden. So your $1 million is not going to be anywhere close to $1 million, right? But with your Roth IRA, if you have $1 million in there, well, guess what? You actually have $1 million in there, right? So you actually are a millionaire if you have $1 million in your Roth IRA. So that's something to really think about as well. And a lot of people don't factor that in. So number 4, look for the opportunity for a mega backdoor Roth. So some employers offer their people the opportunity to leverage their 401k and a Roth IRA to fund something known as a mega backdoor Roth IRA. Not all plans allow this, however, but if yours does, it can be an outstanding way to truly get the most out of what's available from a company-sponsored retirement plan. So the mega backdoor Roth IRA takes advantage of the fact that the total annual contribution limit to a company-sponsored plan for an employee is $58,000. $64,500 including age 50 plus catch-up contributions, and it also depends on whether your employer allows both in-service withdrawals from the plan and after-tax contributions above and beyond the standard deferral limit. So in essence, if all the stars align and your salary is large enough to support it, you can include those after-tax contributions above and beyond your regular contributions. Then, by quickly converting those additional contributions to your Roth IRA, you can get much more money into that sort of retirement plan than would otherwise be allowed. Now, not all employer-sponsored plans have the provisions to allow these mega backdoor Roth IRAs, but if yours does, it can certainly help you supercharge your very tax-advantaged retirement savings. And number 5, focus on long-term potential. The first 4 approaches focus more on getting money into your account. Now, when it comes to squeezing every penny out of your 401k, how your money is invested also matters. Many plans include default investment choices that may be a bit on the conservative side from an investment return perspective. Typical defaults will include a money market fund, a pre-mixed balanced fund, or a target date retirement fund based on your age and presumed retirement year. The challenge with the default approaches is that they don't tend to be designed around maximizing your long-term returns. Instead, they tend to attempt to either minimize the risk of losing value or seek out some volatility adjusted risk versus return profile that doesn't necessarily deliver strong overall results. So in reality, if you have a long-term focus and a decent amount of time before you retire, you can wait out the market's volatility. In fact, with a dollar cost averaging strategy, a decline in the market often becomes an opportunity to buy more shares while they're on sale. So a strategy focused more on the long-term potential instead of minimizing volatility or the risk of decline can go a long way toward improving your overall long run rate of return. So that focus on long-term return potential can help your money grow faster over time, which can help your 401k reach its largest total potential value over your career. And that's key to squeezing every penny out of your 401k. And that's basically it for this article. So I pretty much agree with every single thing on here. That being said, you can also still technically do a backdoor like Roth IRA, even if you make over the typical limit, right? Because a lot of people don't know this, but you can basically like invest into basically a traditional and then roll it into a Roth. Now you have to definitely talk to an investment like professional to actually like structure this in a way where you actually do this correctly so that you're not like doing something crazy and like you get nabbed on taxes or something like that. But it is possible for someone to go and do that. So everyone can, in fact, invest into a Roth IRA, right? It doesn't really matter how much income you have. You could still technically do that. Because here's the thing. You want to do everything you can to prevent the government from taking all of your money continuously, right? Now you still got to pay your taxes, but if they give you an option to basically have tax-free growth, you should take it, right? Because I mean, with the whole example that I mentioned earlier, the difference between like a 401k and then a Roth IRA, I'd rather have $1 million clean and clear into my bank account when I retire versus having $1 million and then losing a crazy amount of it to taxes. So the $1 million actually isn't $1 million. So imagine if you like got like a $1 million lottery ticket and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, sorry, this actually isn't really $1 million. It's actually more like, I don't know, like 500,000. Like that would kind of suck, right? So that's just the way to look at it, right? It's like you want to keep as much as you can when you retire because that's going to help you out so much more later down the line. So if you're wanting to get out of debt so that you can start putting money towards investments like these and maximizing your investments like these, go to 40inbox.com to learn the secret to mastering your money and to get out of debt so that you could live a much better life later down the line.